So I decided to look at the Death Guard Legion by the Templin Institute. Links are going to be down in the description below for the original channel and video. So only thing I really know about these guys are, one, they're in league at this point with Papa Nurgle, as Brecky said, he chunky boy. And they're also the ones that just look weird, and actually the only ones that I really saw that really got mutated quite a bit, right, from like the Chaos, the Warp. And also, I know this is probably just a brief intro to them, so this is kind of just to give me a little first-hand glance at the Death Guard Legion. Later on, I'll be looking at one that kind of goes more in depth. In any case, though, we're not going to waste too much more time. Let's go ahead and get right into the video.
At the height of the Imperium, when the dominion of mankind had spread across the entire galaxy and a final victory was near, the Emperor was betrayed. Horus, his most capable and favored son, had secretly fallen to the ruinous powers of chaos and conspired with his brothers to destroy all that they had fought so hard to achieve. This great betrayal split the Imperium in two. When Horus marched on the gates of Terra itself, he was joined by half his brother Primarchs and the legions under their command. Among these was Mortarion and his Death Guard. Perhaps more than any other legion, their fall to chaos would leave them twisted and deformed, evidence of the favor of their new master, the Lord of Decay, Nurgle. Yet in the golden era before their fall from grace, the Death Guard, like the other Space Marine legions, were originally engineered from the gene seed of their Primarch Mortarion. But with the Primarchs scattered across the galaxy by the powers of chaos, the Legion was left without its father. At the dawn of the Imperium, for over 8 decades, they fought against alien tyrants and dark cults as part of the Emperor's Great Crusade. The Legion made use of an ancient tactic, unleashing relentless attacks shortly before nightfall. For this, the Emperor named them Dusk Raiders, and their mastery of heavy infantry earned them a fierce reputation as stubborn, enduring warriors.
So before nightfall? I mean, typically in the Marine Corps, I mean, for us at least, we would typically like to be in the night, technically, because we'd have MVGs, we'd be able to see pretty clearly, and it makes it a lot harder for people, like specifically for the enemy. Then again, I know we're 40K is quite a bit different. But just like a little retrospect for us is that the enemy wouldn't be able to see us unless they had MVGs too. But I mean, all throughout your training in the fleet, you're doing damn near every single range that I can remember during the daytime first, and then later on you end up doing the same thing at night. And the night completely lot different, mainly because it's a lot harder to see each other. Sometimes you're looking at one side. Like, you might see clearly this side, but the moon, if it's a full moon, blinds you on the other side, right? And you're buddy rushing. Granted, this happened to me. And it's very hard because people are now almost running into each other when we're trying to bound over each other. And it creates a lot of problems. So it makes it really hard, especially even if you're patrolling, because you have to keep each other a little closer, more like between 5 to 10 meters, when during the daytime you want to be at least 15 meters, right? But then for us, it's like, hey, we rule the night. Also, another thing is that people, they can hear you, right? Say if you're going to a building, and a lot of this really carried on into mount training or urban fighting, right? Where once we made entry, and we would have a couple buddies try to pretend to be the bad guys, and they would always say after we were done running our little drills that I know exactly that you guys came in. I knew like roughly if there was a lot, right? I mean, but mainly because he could hear our voices, right? Because voice sound carries a lot farther during the nighttime. But he said that the creepiest thing was that he didn't know exactly where we were. Like, he thought we were really close, when in fact we were still on the bottom floor. Or we sounded far away, but we're damn near in the next room next to him, right? Now, that's a lot into like some night training and all that. But I just thought that was pretty cool. And I thought it was weird that they would attack before night fell.
Cast out by chaos, Mortarion had landed on the toxic world of Barbarous. The planet was eternally covered in a poisonous fog, with the local human population forced to live in shallow valleys where the atmosphere was most hospitable. They lived in fear of horrific creatures and warlords that prowled above, which would sometimes descend from the choking fog to slaughter and enslave all they came across. When the Emperor and his legions finally arrived on Barbarus, Mortarion had become a truly resilient leader. He had trained and hardened his people, arming them with crude breathing masks so they might exact vengeance on those who for so long had acted with impunity. Mortarion waged a campaign of extermination against the tyrants and warlords who persisted in terrible mountain fortresses where the toxic clouds were thickest, until only one remained. But at the highest peak, the toxins were too much for Mortarion, and when the last tyrant of Barbarus was slain instead by the Emperor, the Primarch swore him his loyalty. Mortarion was given command of the Dusk Raiders, and the veterans of his long campaign across Barbarus formed the new core of their ranks. They were renamed in honor of those who had fought against the toxic clouds and now warred across the galaxy as the Death Guard. Mortarion brought his relentlessness to the Legion, and they quickly became masters of not only enduring, but claiming victory even in the harshest of environments. Horus found Mortarion more difficult to bring to his cause than the other traitor Primarchs, but eventually Mortarion was convinced that the Emperor had become a tyrant no better than those who once ruled his homeworld.
So it seems like more he was tricked, right? And just kind of coerced by Horus's slick talking, right? I mean, because I heard that he was supposed to be literally so perfect to the point where he was incredible physically, mentally, people skills, how to lead, everything.
In the opening battle of what would become the Horus Heresy, the Death Guard slaughtered their fellow Space Marines, including a third of their own legion who remained loyal to the Imperium. The traitors carved their way across the Imperium, repeatedly engaging Jagatai Khan and his legion, the White Scars, for whom they developed a particular hatred. When the throne world of the Imperium came under siege, the Death Guard were among the traitor legions sent to take part in the ultimate defeat of the Emperor. Mortarion had insisted on sacrificing his fleet's navigators, however, who he believed were not entirely loyal. Without their guidance, the Death Guard were left adrift in the realm of chaos, complete.
It's kind of ironic, right? He wants to kill his navigation people because they're not loyal. Yeah, I mean, could you understand where that hypocrisy is kind of coming from, right? Obviously, him not being loyal. But then again, the Emperor, especially after months of hearing about it in little bits and pieces, he's not necessarily the most swell guy either, right? Considering a lot of the choices he makes. Although I understand what his big picture is supposed to be, the methods, man. But I'm definitely going to have to be looking for another video as well on Mortarion specifically.
Completely at the mercy of the Dark Gods. The Legion's skill in resisting even the harshest toxins attracted the attention of Nurgle, the Chaos God of plague, pestilence, and disease. He blessed them with his gifts, which even their legendary resilience could not overcome. The Legion was transformed utterly, becoming an army of postulant grotesques, riddled with corruption, yet unable to die. None suffered greater than Mortarion, now a nightmarish demon lord who traded his soul and the souls of all his sons in exchange for deliverance. What emerged from the warp to take part in the Battle of Terra bore little resemblance to what had entered. The last betrayed remnants of the Dusk Raiders were gone forever. In their place stood the Plague Marines of the Death Guard. When the Emperor slew Horus in orbit over Terra and the rebellion collapsed, the Death Guard fell back to the Eye of Terror alongside the other traitor legions. Barbarus was quickly destroyed by the vengeful Imperium, so deep within the Eye of Terror, the Death Guard set about creating their fallen world anew. Their new homeworld is a dark reflection of Barbarus, wrapped in clouds of contagion, home to plague-ridden abominations that stalk rotting forests and putrid swamps. At the dawn of the Legion, Mortarion and the Death Guard fought against the tyrants and warlords who preyed upon the weak. Now, they revel in the bitter irony that they have become the very thing they sought to destroy. They rule their new world from fortresses built atop the highest mountains, cloaked in toxic fog that they alone possess the will to endure. In the millennia since the Horus Heresy, the Death Guard have emerged across the galaxy to spread new plagues and epidemics of violence and decay before withdrawing once again into the warp. Ever the traditionalist, Mortarion's forces have remained relatively cohesive. The Legion consists of 7 plague companies, each specializing in different aspects of warfare. The first of these is ruled by Typhus the Traveler, a herald of Nurgle whose own visions for the future have made him a rival of Mortarion himself. Yet from the lowest, wheezing cultist to plague-infested demonic engines, the Death Guard spread ruin and decay so that their own terrible fate might seem less shameful by comparison.
So Mortarion has kind of a rival now, which is kind of weird when you think about it, right? Because he's supposed to be the Primarch, right? And should be technically stronger in all aspects than anybody else. Although I don't know how strong Typhus is, Typhus the Traveler. But as far as them, and I also thought about that too, going back to the Horus Heresy. The moment Horus died, everybody who turned traitor essentially just left, right? So it's kind of crazy to see how everything was kind of hinging on this one person, in this case Horus. But then also just looking at what the Death Guard had been up to or doing, it seems like they just want to pass, like their pestilence, their things, right? And that, so at this point, is that their only main purpose, right? To just spread disease and all that? Because at this point, I don't really know what to make of the Death Guard too much. I mean, I understand that they're with Nurgle, and I mean, they look pretty cool. They look pretty fucking terrifying. But I'm definitely going to be looking at another video that goes into more detail.
Their belief that mankind should be free of oppression and hardship endured, with inner strength and stern resolution twisted into contempt for the weak and timid. The arrival of the Death Guard on the battlefield is marked by a buzzing drone that soon rises to a deafening roar as billions of plague flies swarm across the desolation of no man's land. From clouds of toxic fog, they emerge, eyes glowing with sickly light and blades dripping with noxious poisons. The torrent of revolting destruction they unleash overwhelms the enemy's strength, and even those who might escape are riddled with incurable plagues and do nothing but spread sickness and despair ever farther. So have the sons of Mortarion conquered countless worlds.
But does that disease and plague turn them into one of them? Or does it just kill them?
In the name of the Plague God.
Alright, let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. Now, before anyone says that, hey, that this video didn't do this Legion justice, I know. It was just an intro to it to kind of see what they were all about a little bit. And then later on, watch another video, get into way more detail. Because I don't know what it is. Every single Primarch so far that have been shown, or that I've seen of, at least one video on, they're all designed in a way that really captures your attention, or at least at the very least makes you want to know a little more about them, right? So obviously I want to learn more about Mortarion. I want to learn more about Typhus. I like listening or hearing about other characters that aren't necessarily, I guess, like the main one. Like, for example, like say the main character for like the Death Guard Legion, which in this case would be like the Primarchs, or seeing just someone else on the sidelines that actually has, that seems like it's going to have some prominence, right? Like Typhus. And the whole part about them really just becoming what they claim that they didn't like happening to them. So these guys, I think it was saying that in the beginning of the video, saying that the planet that we're on, Barbarous, that they were living in low places or like shallow places to because it was the only really place that was hospitable, and that they had to face these dangerous things, these creatures coming out from the actual fog. Was that when it was the demons? I mean, that's kind of what it seemed like. Obviously, I would want to know a little more about how exactly Horus did convince Mortarion to join the Traitors. And I know he said that it was because the Emperor was almost like the same thing what they were fighting against originally in the beginning. But I feel like it's got to be a little more, or there at least has to be proof of like the information that Horus used specifically to get him on his side. But so far, obviously, the biggest thing that could draw anybody to this Legion is their actual character design. It looks pretty, I don't know what it is. Something about this character design, it kind of freaks me out at the same time. But then again, it also kind of, I don't know, it just shows kind of the creativity of the people who actually wrote this. So, I don't know. I just think these guys have one of the more unique character designs, in my opinion. But, in any case, though, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, really does help me a lot. Hit that notification button so you get notified every time I do upload. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. Leave me a little comment as to maybe what it was. Till then, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.